Welcome to Every Night is Game Night, because we all love game nights with our family and friends. But when you play solo games, then every night can be a game night. Check us out along with other great podcasts at dicetowernetwork.com.
Every Night is Game Night, episode 157, Post-GenCon 2019 Wrap-Up, Part 4, Kickstarter Goodies.
So sexy. All right.
Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome back to the Every Night is Game Night podcast, the podcast that helps you get your head in the game. I am your host, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us. We have the Kickstarter Squad back in the house to talk about some more delivered Kickstarters. I'm folding it into the GenCon post wrap-up because a lot of these games are featured at GenCon, so why not? More gaming goodness for your life. We're talking about nothing but games today. I am excited to welcome back, first of all, Liz from Beyond Solitaire. Welcome back to the show, Liz, for the 10th, 11th time. I don't know, a lot.
But it's never enough. I'm always happy to be back.
And bringing up, actually coming up on appearances, this is about your 9th or 10th appearance there, Jeremy. Jeremy from Jambalaya Plays Games. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, party people. This is Jeremy. How y'all doing? I'm so happy to be back on here, man. I got a lot to talk about, so and you let me blabber on, so I'll come back.
I always say it's like, okay, let's keep it like 45 minutes. We got a couple games. Nah, let's just we're gonna make it happen. All right, so how you guys doing? How has been the gaming season so far? 2019. We haven't talked since the spring. You guys snowed in yet on new games?
Man, I am literally overwhelmed because I'm playing a lot of games. So just seeing a lot of games. There's been a lot of good ones, and I think the more the things I've been picking up, the more I've been playing. I feel like there's just a lot of okay games, but there are a lot more gems than I thought. Right. And I think that's just because there's a big volume of games coming. It really boils down to that. There's so many games coming out. It's hard to tell someone about shipshape, you know?
And both of them, both Jeremy and Liz have kind of grown their channel since they, or grown their brands, so to speak, since the last Every Night is Game Night. Jeremy talking about that mountain of games, doing it for Man versus Meeple. We talked about that before, but he is in full swing over there, doing live playthroughs, doing all sorts of good stuff. Jeremy, you are relentless. It's a little bit crazy. And Liz, not to be left out of the party, we did talk about this one too, but you have plenty of videos up by now. You are a reviewer with the Dice Tower, video reviewer. That is, and here I am just doing the same stuff. Mr. No Ambition. I score like a 0 on the ambition scale. I just want to just do my thing.
Disagree. Every Night is Game Night has been an important podcast to me since before anybody noticed any of the things that I made. So,
well, thank you very much. You are all class. That is very, very appreciative. All right, so I have actually a couple of news items and announcements before we get started. Number one, we are going to warm up to top 100 solo games. The voting for that is now open over on the One Player Guild. Kevin Erskine has opened up the voting. Liz and I are talking about doing something a little bit different with that episode. I'll kind of talk about that as we kind of get closer and, we work things out. But we're going to do something a little bit different with our commentary episode. But if you want to go vote for your top 20 games of all time, he'll synthesize all that into a giant People's Choice list. That list is the best resource for solo gamers. Every single year, it tells you what's hot, what gamers are playing, what's old and good. It's a mix of cult of the old, cult of the new. I love that list. That is coming for you real soon. So go ahead and go over to BGG, the top BGG One Player Guild, and check out Kevin Erskine's thread. He'll tell you all about it. That's number one. Number two, last week we talked about Unbroken. So Unbroken, you guys know about all that nonsense, right?
Oh yeah.
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 So I broke that down last week, and I do have an update. After I posted the episode, I recorded it a while ago. But then now there's actually positive developments. Canada has gotten their games. UK has a date to get their games. Poland also has a date for games. The rest of the EU is going to get games off of Poland, which is all good news. Artem and all of them have worked very hard to get the word out there. Some people in EU might have to pay a little bit extra to get him from Poland, so that's not the happiest thing in the world. I know one of the people in the One Stop Co-op Shop Slack just kind of said, that's great. They're going to Poland, but that's still not Denmark. You know?
God.
Oh my God.
Hey, do any of those countries have media mail? Sorry.
For a nominal fee, you will receive your game.
The game that you already backed, but like I said in the episode last time, obviously, Artem is a listener to the show. Artem, this is not on you. I definitely stand with you in terms of what you're trying to do, get them broken out there. This is totally a publisher thing. Stand with the EU backers, stand with Artem. So just wanted to give you that update. The story is ongoing, but it is getting more positive. And the last little bit, good.
I really it's unfortunate because I really I wish it's such a good game, and it sucks that it's all wrapped up in that and people can't even talk about the game,
Right.
Like it really stinks.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Unbroken itself is a fabulous game, and I thought that the first time I played it, and I stand by that. But I've been hesitating to put out a formal review of it because I just know that it'll drown in comments about the game.
Hasn't been bad. We did our review last week. I've not gotten inundated with stuff. There were some people that piped up, but it wasn't too bad. I think as more gamers are getting the game in their hands and as more good news is going out to backers, hopefully we can kind of put this behind us. And he has some co-op listed in terms of expansion ideas, and I mean that is not the last we've seen of Unbroken. Hopefully, so we'll see what goes on with that. All right, the last thing we're going to get to is Liz. You are live with the In Liz We Trust segment this week. I know what it is. I'm looking forward to you talking about it. We're going to build on that for our first review, but hit us with some knowledge about Everdell, which is currently on Kickstarter as we speak.
Absolutely. So I will confess right now, since we're just talking about it live, I actually have not backed Everdell to date, but I am going all in this time around. So they have some new expansions out. One is Spirecrest, and it's going to offer some exploration and weather cards, from what I understand. And there's one called Belfair, where you and all of the adorable woodland creatures are having a festival. But if you're like me and you haven't backed yet, you can basically go in for everything for about $165, something like that, which frankly, with all the stuff that's out there for Everdell, I'm finally ready to do it.
Enough positive reviews, enough, people have been talking about it. It's great in solo, blah, 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 right?
Yeah, I mean, it has a proven pedigree as a game at this point. It's clearly a supported game, and it's always looked very charming, so I'm ready.
What about you, Jeremy? Are you ready?
Oh man, been ready. Been ready, sir. Been ready, sir. Really, really excited about that. I actually contacted someone attached to that project, and I was like, "Are you really launching today?" And they were like, "Yep." And I'm thinking, like, "Whoa, you're launching Everdell in 1 hour?" They're like, "Yep," and boom, no marketing, bam.
Yep.
Like,
4 hours funded. I mean, it's a monster at this point. People are loving on it. So that was Everdell. What is it? Spirecrest and
Belfair. I will note is a short campaign. It ends on October 3rd.
Yes, absolutely. So we definitely want to get this posted. This will come out on Friday. We'll talk about getting Everdell on there. Since to build upon that, our first review. So we do have a pile of reviews for you. I'll get into that. Go ahead and look at the show notes if you want to look at all the games we're going to review this time and next week. But let's get into our first one right away. Dovetails in so nicely. It is Pearlbrook. Pearlbrook is the first expansion for Everdell, designed by James Wilson, published by Starling Games. I don't want to say too much about Everdell. Like, there's so much knowledge out there. We have covered the game before. Really, it's at the essence of it. It's this kind of it's kind of neither fish nor fowl. It's a fish, fowl, beast thing, and it's really awesome. Yeah. It's worker placement, but it's not worker placement. Like, if you go here for worker placement, you're going to be disappointed. If you go here for kind of like tableau building, Race for the Galaxy-ish, card play and combos off your cards, it's a little bit lighter than some of those other games, so you're going to be disappointed. But woven together, it is a really, really fun, amazing experience and a really, really solid solo. So I gave a positive review at the time, and I was really eager to pour into Pearlbrook. Pearlbrook, I didn't have a lot of high hopes for it because it doesn't look like it added too much. What it basically adds is a sideboard. So the sideboard is a brook. a water kind of motif, and it has some more locations, and it has a kind of what is it? The ambassador or something, and it's like basically a dedicated meeple. A frog? Is it a frog? It's a frog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a dedicated meeple. You can only go to one of those spaces. So it's not like it's going to just, turn your entire world on it. It's like it's basically one extra choice that you make. So at that space, you would go to one of those 4 spaces. You can make a trade your existing resources for pearls. And pearls are more valuable, worth more points. And this is probably the biggest like concrete gamer change besides the sideboard. You get these adornment cards. And what the adornment cards do is you pay a pearl to activate them, and it gives you like a free thing. And whatever the free thing is, it's usually pretty powerful, like, an extra activation of your production, or, some kind of resource windfall or whatever it is. So here's what I liked about what this kind of expansion does. It reminded me of Lords of Waterdeep, the Scoundrels of Skullport expansion, where at a game like this, you might have a trouble getting started. Like you might get started slow, and then it's towards the mid game where you can kind of get your stuff going, and you kind of feel good from there. What Skullport did for Waterdeep was it let you get going earlier. It's like, all right, I'm in it, I'm good. This kind of does the same thing. It's you can get to that Pearlbrook space, you can get a pearl pretty early, and then you have that adornment card. Boom, I have more stuff. I'm like more engaged in the game right away. Did this game need that? Not necessarily. I wouldn't throw this into like a brand new gamer. Like the Everdell experience is pretty good, but for an advanced gamer or for people who just want to like have a lot of fun, have like the full experience, kind of like just going at it, I liked it. I'm not gonna play this game without Pearlbrook if I can help it. It slides right in there, and of course you get more cards and more stuff and more treasures and more goals and all that kind of stuff. So you get all that stuff too. So. Jeremy, I know, Liz, you're still kind of like floating above and, like, oh my God, I'm about to back this. But I know, Jeremy, have you played Pearlbrook?
Yeah, it just got a little bit of something extra. And that's all this game really needs is keep making cool, cute components with that awesome work. And then more gameplay, subtle gameplay. And I mean, that's what I want. I want more. So I'm backing the stuff.
It does a lot of what the Scoundrels of Skullport expansion did for Lords of Waterdeep. If you listen to a Lords of Waterdeep fan, they probably won't play without that expansion. This expansion is not that essential, but that's the kind of change you're looking for. Just more, bigger scoring, get started earlier, more choices earlier, just more, and in a good way. So
more.
I am looking forward to the 2 other expansions. I hopefully have those coming in as well. Liz, you are in for a treat. I really do highly recommend Everdell and everything Everdell so far.
I'm excited.
All right. So now we are going to go over to Jeremy. Jeremy is you are speaking of Lords of Waterdeep and the follow-up to that game, which is Champions of Midgard. We are going to talk about the follow-up to the follow-up. So after Champions of Midgard, which was a big game. It was a pretty big, popular game. I really, really like Champions, especially with a certain expansion. So this follow-up, Reavers of Midgard, designed by J.B. Howell and published by Grey Fox Games, is very anticipated. You're the only one who here has played it, so hit us with some knowledge, Jeremy. Tell us what's going on.
Okay, so I have not played Champions of Midgard. So when I speak about this, just realize I'm speaking for...
Play it now. Pax Pamir.Jason, play Champions.
I'm speaking for ignorance just because, like, I didn't feel as interested in that game. I was more interested in Raiders of the North Sea, and I kind of just stuck with that. Mm-hmm. And now I'm over on this one. I just like, all right, I'm creeping in GenCon. I want to blind buy something. This is one of my blind buys at GenCon. I was like, let me try it. It looks bigger. It looks meatier. Let's do this. Let's try it. And I remember talking to him. He's just like, yes, it's going to be a lot more beefier than what's going on. And it is. It's definitely a heavier version, I guess, of what Champions of Midgard is trying to do. But what you're basically doing is you now have this big ship. And the ship is basically a dice pool area. And you're going to have your Jarl, like your warrior, and they're going to help contribute to your dice pool. And you're going to be going down to these different locations, grabbing more dice, spending resources at these different locations to fulfill things. So
in Champions, the dice kind of coordinate with your workers. So are the dice kind of they key off your workers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like that's basically what they are. They're going to be a whole bunch of different symbols. They represent your placement of workers. Okay, you have to replace in each location. You're going to have to place resources, and you're going to receive like cards in return. You're going to receive resources and stuff like that. I mean, when I say like this game has resources galore, you're going to have stuff everywhere. Like you're going to have little tokens absolutely everywhere in this game. So what you're doing is basically going to different locations, and each one of them has different functions. Some of them are going to have you like pay resources to conquer things. Some of them are going to have you go on like a voyage quest on your boat to fight off monsters and score big chunks of points. But the big whole idea is that everybody's going to get an opportunity to follow you. So wherever location you choose, everybody's going to get the opportunity, depending on player count, to follow what you've done. And it's, of course, going to be for a lesser benefit. But what that does is like you have kind of a stake in the game of like what everybody else is doing, because you're like, all I got to do is keep my resources here, conquer over here so I have extra resources, or just keep my dice pool big so I can, do as many things as possible. And that's kind of the key to the game. Other than that, there's just the same old stuff. We're talking about like set collection, conquering, going on quests, all that kind of stuff. And now you got in your big board, your big boat, you can start to take cards. You can take some of these cards you get, and you can tuck them under your board. So when you tuck them under this big player board, now when people go to those certain locations, you start triggering off other abilities and stuff like that. So not only when you go to these locations, on off turns, just think of this, on off turns, you're also paying attention to, do you want to take the follow-up action? Did they trigger something on your board? And you can have, I think, was it up to like 2 or 3 things under that location part on your board? So you got 3 or 4 locations you got to pay attention to, hoping that somebody pulls those off so you can get all the resources.
Yeah, and that was not a part of Champions, like having to pay attention. You can grab a soda between certain.
No, this is like absolutely nuts. And this is, I believe, 6 rounds of it. And when I say point salad, I mean like you're scoring like crazy, because you can have so many different sets of how things you score. There's like an area where you can collect just different types of stuff, get points there. You also have another area where you just get dice, but you also get these little cards that say, hey, like if you have, X amount of dice at the end of the game, you get this. If you, have a certain amount of people that have gone to Valhalla, you get this. So like you're just literally scoring points. At the end of the game, you can literally call off another 100 points easily. Mm-hmm. So it's a really interesting game. I have to play it a little bit more. But overall, I'm on the fence.
No, don't say it. Come on.
With it. It is, and let me tell you something. This game is dead gorgeous, by the way. Okay. it is dead gorgeous. The component quality is through the roof. No stone was unturned with this one right here. Okay, but I don't know.
Okay, what part of it? Okay, so is it? I think it's possible to be too engaged, like to pay too much attention. I kind of I don't want too much downtime, but I like a little bit just to be able to kind of like unplug and reset my brain and get back. Does this game demand too much?
Actually, you know what? It does not. I just feel like you're gonna lose. The thing is you still get the feeling of like, hey, I lost out on that because I wasn't first. Especially with the battle parts, when you go battle at sea, that's a tough one, because it's like, of course, everybody's going to go for that 13, 15.1 or something like that. Then that's gone. That's useless, but that's a huge chunk of points. There's just certain like small things. I'm like, there's a lot of choices here. I like that. There's a lot of different ways I feel like, okay, I can score a lot of off turns. But at some point, it's something about point salad games. Sometimes they just miss me. I don't know what it is. Like you feel like it should be rewarding all the time. Like when you play like it just any point salad game, and you think to yourself like, this is going to be rewarding. This is going to feel good. I felt okay. I just felt like it kind of went on too long, maybe for a 4-player game.
Salads need to be small. You don't have a whole giant plate full of salad.
For me, they have to be small.
You get full. It's like, okay, I've scored 250 points and I'm not at endgame scoring yet. Oh God.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like that.
No, it's not that. It's not like terrible that way. It's just that, there's a lot of scoring. There's a lot of in-game scoring. I feel like that's cool. I like like you can use the you use these warriors and you can use them like to promote them and add them to your boat, which changes how your dice work. or you can sacrifice them to get certain things. They have a lot of like little cool things. It's just that I don't know. I kind of got lost in the game a little bit, and I was just like, I don't know if I wasn't staying in it. I wasn't staying excited.
Right.
As we go, hey, are you going to go? Are you going to take it? Are you going to take the secondary action? Are you going to take the secondary action? There could be a little bit of downtime even in that, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really kind of what it boiled to. Maybe there was just too much AP going on in the group I had because the 4-player game was pretty long.
What's your feeling on point salad approaches, Liz? Are you a person that likes to score the little like that you see the points, see the Christmas tree lights full of like points opportunities here and there? Or?
I do enjoy that. Basically, if I'm an Omni gamer, so any type of game could theoretically work for me if it's satisfying.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
So
like, there's nothing that inherently turns you off about that. It's like it just has to be delivered well and like in good chunks and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's not. I don't hear point salad and feel much either way. It's like, oh, well, is it interesting in some other way? In which case, let's go.
Yeah, I have to be honest with this one. I have to say, like, okay, I'm speaking a little bit like half-heartedly, and I feel like I want to play this, maybe a couple more times because I feel like this is that type of game you just have to play several times before you come down with a hard decision on it. And I might even want to just try it at a lower player count just to feel the strategy a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But, it just, like I said, I was just kind of on the fence with it, and like I said, I thought the experience was too long for what I was playing.
What I will say is Champions of Midgard wasn't itself until its expansion. And, I play it solo because it doesn't come with solo. I don't think either of these come with solo, but like the Champions has some really well-regarded solo bots. So that's how I got those together. So, even if a game isn't like the best, for whatever reason, because of how good the Valhalla expansion was for the base game, I wouldn't give up on Reavers, just even off of a couple of plays.
You know what it is? This is what I'll tell you. I will not get rid of this game. I won't get rid of this game. So
okay.
I won't get rid of it because I can feel that there, like I said, I don't feel terrible about it or anything. I just want, I gotta explore this one a little bit deeper, which honestly is a good thing based on how many games I play. I'm still very interested in that one.
Cool. All right, so that was Reavers of Midgard. Kind of incomplete review. Maybe we'll revisit that a little bit later. But just to kind of, it was one of the big games that came out, so we wanted to give a little bit of thoughts about that, at least moving forward, and then we'll see how it goes. Now we're going to bring in Liz. Liz, you probably have the heaviest game we're going to talk about this episode. We'll put it right in the middle, be like a jewel, like right in the middle, shining right in the middle of the episode. You are going to tell us about Pax Pamir.
I am. So I have been playing a lot of Pax Pamir 2nd edition. It
you
is
have
designed
a video,
by...
right?
I do, yeah. So I did a Dice Tower review of it, and I do have a solo sample set of turns that I'm going to publish on YouTube this weekend. I really like it. It is designed by Cole Worley, but the solo mode is done by Ricky Royal.
Ooh,
and
friend,
yeah.
Ricky Royal.
And he's 2 for 2 for me right now. I
Ricky?
really liked Renegade, and I really like his solo mode for Pax Pamir.
Ricky has done a lot more than that. He has solo mode for a lot of things.
A lot.
Oh, I'm sure. But in terms of things that I have played for review, those are the ones. But so Pax Pamir is basically set in 1800s Afghanistan after the collapse of the Durrani Empire during an era that is called the Great Game. And so you are this Afghan family who's jockeying for power while your country is being pulled in different directions by the British, by the Russians, and then by people who are patriots of Afghanistan itself. And your goal is to basically get the most dominance points. But there are 2 ways you can do that. You can either do that by winning a dominance check at a time when you're allied with a power that's currently dominant in the area. So if you could put a whole bunch of British armies and roads and stuff out and you're allied with the British and you get dominance, then you score based on how in with them you are. But if it's like a mess in the middle of the board and none of the factions is dominant, then you score based on your personal power. So while you're doing nice things for the empire that you're sucking up to, you're also trying to like put spies out and put tribes out and have personal power on the board so that no matter how things swing, you're going to maybe be in there for some of that point action. That's like the basic essence of the game, I would say. Mm-hmm. But
Like,
you know,
how wargamerish is this game?
I wouldn't say it's very wargamey at all.
Yeah.
Because
Basically,
it's Cole Worley and Pax Pamir sounds, like, we're going to enforce things and whatever. I don't know, for whatever. You throw Latin in there and it makes me think that there's some war coming at me. So it's totally not that, huh?
No, most of the game takes place off of a tableau of cards. Like, there's this beautiful cloth map where you put all your pieces, but all the stuff that you do is based on cards that you buy from a market. And so buying a card and playing a card are two of the main actions you can take in the game, but then the cards have extra actions on them. So you can take a battle action, you can take a tax action to get some money. You can take like a movement action and move one of your spies around. And then you can take a betray action and murder somebody else's card. So... Yes.
Yes.
So, what's the thing is that the game itself, in terms of gameplay, is really simple. You take 2 actions per turn, and then maybe you get some bonus actions depending on some other factors in the game. But just choosing which actions to take and how to take them, and then watching what everybody else is doing, gives the game like these extra levels of complexity that make it difficult to describe and teach until you've played a game of it, but it also makes the game really interesting. Like, it's one of the few games that I've played in a while that I really want to keep playing to get better at it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I often don't play very many games like mastery, if that makes sense, but I'd like to be good at Pax Pamir. And that's a high compliment from me, I would say. But the Ricky Royal solo deck is really interesting because, you can't mimic the subtlety of a human player, but he has created this deck, and her name is Wakan. And the deck basically represents, instead of like another family, Wakan is like almost like a movement or an ideology in the area. And so she is functionally loyal to all 3 factions. Whoa. So every time there's a dominance check, you have to figure out like how you're going to come out ahead of her no matter how it shakes. And, basically the AI system is really cool. It's just a deck of cards. Like, you flip one over and it tells you what her actions that she's going to try to take are that turn. You just go through the options until she's done 2 things. She does get bonus actions, and then that's it. I mean, it's a pretty streamlined solo thing once you're used to the rules. She does have priorities. There's like cards that tell you what she'll prioritize if she has to get rid of a card, or if she has to kill something, or if she has to, do something. There will actually be like a list of things that she'll prioritize first. So, you actually have guidelines to follow as you play. So I think that maybe there might be a little bit of an on-ramp. There's a little bit of a learning curve when you're learning how to play with her. Yeah. I'm glad that I played the game multiplayer before trying to play it solo, because I had more of an instinctive understanding of what Wakan was trying to do. But I also have learned a lot strategically about the game from playing against her, because the stuff that she does that kicks my butt, I'm like, oh, I should be going for those cards. Oh. And so it really forces you to learn the game in a deep way. And she's challenging. What she lacks in human subtlety, she compensates for with brute.
So let me ask a question. Who wouldn't like this game?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, so you would not like this game if you just want to play something that's quick and relaxing. You would not like this game if you don't want to feel like there's things going on that you don't quite understand in your first couple plays of the game.
Okay, so there's a lot of depth and there's a lot like bubbling under the surface.
You don't want to play this game if you don't like flavor text and like dry historical art. I think the game's gorgeous. But if you don't want to like look at little mini lectures about the Ottoman Empire, the Durrani Empire, while you're playing your game, like, I'm down with that. I think it's really cool.
So what's that, like, kind of explain like the player interaction that's going on in this game? Like, is there negotiation? Like, is there table talking for specific reasons to kind of like convince people of certain things, or?
Yes. So I mostly played it solo. So no, you can't talk Wakan out of anything. She's mean.
Right.
But,
yes.
But with people, yes. So there are situations where people have to pay you because you actually have control of an area that they want to play in. Yes. Or if you put enough spies on somebody else's card, you can take their card hostage and they have to pay you in order to use it.
Yes.
So you have the options of doing things like waiving the bribe in exchange for a favor later.
Yes.
The other thing that's interesting is if 2 of you have the same loyalty to an empire, like if you have more than one person that's loyal to the Russians or something like that, then one of you will get more points than the other during the dominance check, depending on who has successfully bought the most gifts and gotten the most prizes for Mother Russia. So then you have to be, you can kind of work together, but you're also eyeing each other. Like, oh God, is he going to get more prizes than me? Has this person bought more gifts for them than me? Oh, are they going to get more points than me out of this? And then you have to decide, like, does getting some points matter more? Even if you're banking on, can I beat them the next dominance check around?
Yeah.
Or do I just say, I don't trust these people? Oh, no, screw it. Let's throw it to the personal power. I'm not going to help us be dominant this time. So there's a whole lot of, I mean, it's one of those games, when I play it, I don't normally feel like I'm just dying for my next turn to happen because I'm so excited about what's going on. But Pax Pamir gets me going like that.
Cool.
Yeah, this is sounding really, like, I'm going to buy this game. Like, that was all I really need to hear. Like, I needed someone to explain that, like, what that feels like. And I will play it solo. I wasn't too worried about the solo. But, like, when you explain how players are interacting, I'm like, yeah, that's all I can ask for. Like, I like that. That's a game night to me.
Nice.
Like, getting conversation out of people during game night, like, because the game does that, it's like, hey, like, well, you can give me a little bit of extra and I'll do that for you. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to charge you if you promise not to battle and kill off my tribe in this region.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
So, yeah,
that's
all I need.
That was Pax Pamir, probably the heaviest game we're going to talk about this episode. We are going to end the episode talking about two very light games, one that I've played, one that Jeremy has played. This one was a delivered Kickstarter. I am really... wasn't what I expected. I think I kind of went into that not quite knowing what I was getting. I was almost like, okay, the game is Until Daylight. This was designed by Thomas Filippi and Gary Petra. Oh man, that pronunciation. Ooh, this is not too late for that. Published, yeah, I know, right? Published by Flyos Games. So I don't know what I expected, but what I got was I knew it was real time. Future Jason here. I forgot to point out during the body of the episode, I knew I was getting a cooperative game. So this is a cooperative game, which is why I am talking about it here. I didn't quite expect how close this would be to a quote unquote party game. And I'll get to that. I'll get to why this kind of, I got that feeling. It's not a party game. It is not. It is for 3d6 players, but it's not quite that, but I'll get into it. Okay. So it is a survival zombie game. So you're playing a survivor and you're playing, like in a lot of these zombie games, you're playing like a regular person, like a heroic person. You're like the hippie or the haggler or whatever. You have a little small special power, a little starter items, and you're also, the game going to set you up with some goals you're trying to accomplish in the game. So you're not just surviving, you're doing other things, but that's kind of you. What are you doing in this game? It is a real time, kind of exciting game. So the game lasts over 10 rounds, and the rounds have two phases. One, you have this frantic real-time thing where you're drawing a card from a central stack of stuff. It's like, imagine you're in a bunker, and it's like, okay, what's here? The zombies are coming. And, you're drawing stuff, and it's like, okay, this is good. I'm going to keep this. This is a nail. I could put this with a board, so I have a board with a nail on it. I can attack the monsters. Or, oh, this is junk. This card literally says junk. Next. And you have to, like, make quick decisions about, like, pull a card, decide a thing. Pull a card, decide a thing. Ooh, I got a crossbow. I can't use crossbows. You can also trade, so those decisions you have to make really quickly. You have a minute. And it's a very hard limit. So, like, if you're slow, if you're sitting there going, then everybody else at the table is going, hurry up, make a decision. You delaying is going to cost other people action. So you have to be kind of decisive about that stuff. So then you draw a card, play in your item bag. Draw a card, play in your item bag. Hopefully you get ammo for your gun or whatever. You're trying to gear up. And then you have a resolution phase where zombies are going to pour out of a deck, and it depends on what round it is. The later the round, the more zombies you get. And you roll dice at them. Depending on how well you did, you're going to roll more dice. There's not a lot of mitigation in this game. The preparation in this game is, building barricades and blocking damage, but adding dice, making sure you have enough dice to take care of the zombie hordes that are coming. So that's really kind of it. The goals that I was mentioning, you're trying to achieve goals like, you want, if you absorb a damage, like say you get a body shield and you absorb a damage, boom. You get little experience, and if you are the most experienced at the table, you get like a buff. And then someone else can get that buff if they achieve their goal. So you're kind of like bouncing the buffs back and forth between you. Game's going to last you about 15-20 minutes.
Okay.
Where I say it felt like a party game is at the beginning, you're probably going to do pretty bad. because you don't know what's good. You're still kind of exploring. It's like, okay. And then, you're looking at your thing. You do have those moments of stuttering and you don't take a lot of turns during the real time phase. And then you're going to roll dice against the zombies. And you're like, oh, I have 3 dice to roll against the zombies. I'm hitting it with a baseball bat. And that's like, and sometimes it's just really exciting. It's like when you hit all your dice, it's like, great, this is great. If you don't hit your dice, then the zombie's just going to sit there. And so it becomes this thing where it's like, okay, is this a rolling fest? Is that what I'm doing? Great. Yeah, maybe that's exciting, and I don't know. Then you play again. Just like, I think this might be a theme of the episode. Like, he kind of rewards multiple plays. Jeremy wanting to play more Reavers of Midgard, Liz getting more time with Pax Pamir and having it rewarded. Another game that rewards itself after multiple plays. Okay. Now now I'm looking at it and I see, okay, I don't have to trade every single piece of ammo to the person that has a gun. That's a waste of a turn. I could just hold on to it. They have enough ammo. Okay. Now I have, I've been losing my items. Let me carry a crappy item so that when I get the card that says lose an item, I can lose a crappy item or a piece of junk. I don't lose my crossbow. There's only one crossbow in the deck. If you lose a crossbow, you are completely boned. Make sure you have items. You pick up little tricks along the way so that you last longer and longer in the apocalypse. And then eventually your group is good enough to last through that 10th round. Despite all the dice, despite all the luck, you can still get hosed by luck in this game. But the better you are, the more you can overcome the presence of the dice, if that makes sense. You can't manipulate them. You can just play better and overcome what the dice give you. A grower. An absolute grower, strategically, a term I talk in terms of the strategic brain and thematic brain. Strategically, I like that. The more time I spend with it, the more the strategy kind of appeals to me and I can do it. Thematically, I love the goals. Some of the goals are mean. Some of the goals are hit a friend. Oops. If you shoot, because if you shoot into somebody who's in melee, you have a chance of hitting them. So it's I'm going to shoot here, but I have a goal that says if I hit you, I'm going to get it, a level up. I was don't hit me. I'm almost at help, but I'm going to fulfill my goal and I'm going to be the party leader and I'm going to, do whatever. So it's you don't mind that because you want to be a part leader. You want them to get the buff and then so that you can get the buff back. So I like the way that played out. I like that, because in Dead of Winter, the buffs were annoying. The goals were really annoying. Hoard all the food. Well, why are you hoarding? That just totally kills you. In this game, you could get, fulfill your thing, get 5 food, get the cash in your experience, make the group better because you're better, and then, someone else can kind of pick up their thing. So it's it kind of does that mix of secret goal, semi-co-op, but towards the greater good of making the group better. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. My one drawback is the needs an FAQ. Some of these cards, they're unclear. The rule book has typos. There's some really unclear stuff in there. Kind of knocks it down for me a little bit, but it's a keeper for me. I don't know how you guys feel about these kind of real, the combination of real time and dice rolling and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, go ahead.
So, Proving Grounds came out this year.
Yes, yes.
So, Proving Grounds for me was I was feeling it because I wanted to try something different that got me this fanatic feeling ooh, I'm inside of the Proving Grounds. I got to fight things off and da-da-da. I'm down with it as long as it not only just makes sense thematically, but it's not I don't know. For sometimes I feel those games are just meant to punish you, but but that what you're saying, for some reason Proving Grounds is kind of right on that edge of it's am I really gonna get out of here?
Only dice, yeah.
Right.
That becomes that's perfect. This is a 3 to 6, Proving Grounds is a 1. But either way, when you first play it, it's I'm never gonna do this unless I roll 7 successes.
Right.
You play it more and you realize, okay, if I do this, this, and this, then
Yeah, so I just feel that what you're saying has a lot more going on, and it just feels better. I feel that's better. Whereas Proving Grounds is punishing. It is punishing. I mean, they even have replacement cards they said it was too tough in testing for the training mission, and I'm the new cards don't make it much better. It's so hard. Mm-hmm. So This one sounds a little bit like better. That sounds like more of my speed, and it makes sense thematically anyway. So
Yeah, you're talking about like, Reavers is going to stick around for you even if you're whatever. Like that's the mark, right?
yeah,
Like, are we going to keep it or are we going to give it up? And
right.
I'm keeping mine because I don't have quite a game like this. I don't have I hate party games.
Right.
I hate them. And I want something that replicates a little bit of a party feel, but that has some strategy meat to it. And I think this game might kind of sneak in that little crevice there, something I didn't even know I wanted until I have it, and now I have it, so I'm not going to give it up. How about you, Liz? Are you a real-time person, or like kind of like you like that mindset?
No, I really don't. I would try this. It sounds cool. Like, there's nothing I won't try, but real time, I have enough stress in my actual life. Like, I want to take it easy when I play a game. I don't necessarily want to feel that level of pressure.
Right. Yeah, and you could still get hosed. That's the essence of real time, isn't it? Like it no matter how good you get at something, the escapes and the fuges, that you're still at the mercy of some kind of card pull or dice play. So if you're not into that, then like if you really need to, have that strategy, real meat going, then this is not the game for you. But if you want that little bit looser structure, if you want that party game chassis, but with some strategy teeth to it when you get into it, I can definitely recommend Until Daylight. So go ahead and check that out. That Kickstarter is delivered. I'm not really sure what the retail plans are, but I'm sure you can get a copy somewhere floating around. All right. So the last game we're going to talk about, this game more belonged in the last episode when we did family games. This was not a delivered Kickstarter, but it was at GenCon. It actually was really, really popular. I don't think people were quite prepared for how popular it was going to be. But Jeremy put it on a list, and I'm said, you know what? I got to talk about this game. It is not a solo game. It is a dueling game, but I think some solo fans can make room in their hearts for clever card play and, at least a low player count feel. This one is Unmatched.
Yeah. So, oh man, this game came out of nowhere. So it's part of a partnership with Restoration and Mondo Games. So Mondo, and basically they have the licenses for all these like characters. So they have Bruce Lee, King Arthur, Alice in Wonderland, Sinbad, Medusa, just all these things under there because Mondo makes these, I believe, like movie posters and things like that. So they just have all these properties that they can play with. So what they did was that they tricked it out and they took a game called Star Wars Duels and they kind of twisted it with that theme. So it's just basically like a kind of like a two-player skirmish-ish game, right? So what you're doing in this game is you're taking these characters from different, like I said, different parts of your fantasy mind. So you, like I said, King Arthur, Alice in Wonderland, the Bigfoot, Robin Hood, Sinbad, Medusa, and Bruce Lee, like just things that don't even go together. And you're fighting on this map. Now, the map is actually made of these circles, these spheres that are chained together with lines. And the spheres are actually different colors. So what the colors represent are a combination of the combinations of colors that represent line of sight. So you can have like a path that's made of these circles. And when I say circles, picture them being like, how some people have pavement going up to their house where they have like little soaker stones they can walk on, that kind of thing. Like those little crappy gravel paths that people make and think they're really cool. Kind of like that. So there's like these little circles going around there in different formations.
Liz is like, I have one of those. You be quiet.
Nah.
No. So what are you doing in the game? Based on the players, you're going to have an actual character. They're going to have their own asymmetric decks. I believe there are 30 cards in there. They're going to have their own health pool, and then they'll have like another character with them. So King Arthur, who's melee, he has the Merlin, which is his ranged character, like his company, like his partner. So each one of them will have certain partners. Some of them have like multiple ones. So
who's
like
Bruce Lee's partner? Bruce Lee didn't have no partner.
Right, Bruce Lee. No, seriously, Bruce Lee don't have no parties. He just snaps and actually moves faster than everybody.
Okay.
So everybody has like their set movement, whether they're range, whether they're or they're melee, and they all just have their own abilities. So like thematically, Alice has a deck of cards where she gets like extra bonuses when she's tall to attack, but then if she's small, she can move more. She's more defensive because she can like weave around and like get around, and then she has like her Jabberwocky, which like does some of the big fighting for her. So the minions are actually like kind of your first line of defense, and they help you kind of strategically get where you want to. So like for Medusa, the Harpies are going to be like big deterrents for her because she's ranged and she wants to stay further on the map so she can shoot her arrows at you. And she also kind of can pin you in an area so that she can use her stone stare to stare at you and cause massive damage. So if if you play this all right, you can kind of pin people in the corner or, like I said, just kind of like flush people out of these areas.
So is there mini or is it all cards?
What's that? No, it's all cards. So I was
all cards.
So there's different types of cards. You got your attack, you got your defense, and then you got these schemes. And schemes are kind of like different ways to bolster your cards. The cool part about this game is that it works. It just works. I just love how these play. They're so thematic and they're so everybody feels so powerful. And there's also that play of like knowing that your deck is going to be gone, because you can lose it by losing your life points, your life, but you can also by running out of cards. So the real hand management comes down to like, yeah, you can draw cards on your turn and you have to draw one card to move. But at the same time, you're like, oh, snap, I can't keep pulling these cards. But you also want the good cards. If you're King Arthur, you want to get that Excalibur in your hand because
your deck is like the hit points?
Yeah, like you give out a lot of hit points, but you got to find it. It's not expensive. The art on these cards are like almost second to none. Like these are ridiculous. Like this is Mondo on 10 right here. Like this is absolutely poster-like quality on each one of these cards. Like, you know how BGG has those posters that they do, that poster series that they have for all these different games? Like every card looks like that in this game. Like every single card looks like one of those posters in this game for that character. And I'm just really, really overwhelmed with this one here because it's one of the best games I played this year, bar none. Like this one right here is the hype. It surpasses the hype. The minis are awesome, and like I said, everybody. You may be a solo player, and I'm like I said, I'm a solo player, but like this is those types of games that you want to have in your in your collection. 20, 30 minutes, great for lunchtime, plays well at 4 players, and believe me, it's tight. It is intimate, it's tight, and it's brutal in a 4-player game. And you have a lot to look forward to. I'm thinking like they have so many characters lined up for this, and the next one, of course, is Jurassic Park, which I'm just so excited about. I think they even have something for Sherlock Holmes coming. They're not playing around. That's all I can tell you. So yeah, they got, like I said, they got the ENGN versus the Raptors, Sattler versus the T-Rex, and Grant in 2020. So like they got this stuff planned out big time. So I stay tuned for Unmatched. There's going to be a lot of it. It's going to sell out like crazy. And this is just, yeah, man, this is one of the best games I played this year, just by far. Like, I'm happy I have this game in my hands right now.
And the one thing I wanted to, the reason I put this game on last, the reason I wanted to include talking about this game, and just to give us a 5 minutes here at the end of the episode to just kind of like get some stuff off our chest. This game is cheap.
Yeah.
The price point is reasonable. So, Unmatched. Yes. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to kind of end on. I don't want to go too into this, but I actually got a mail. So in the last episode, I made a comment about price in reference to Era Medieval Age. We like the game well enough, but it's $70. It's like, are we going to pay $70 for Roll and Write? I mentioned something. I got a geek mail saying, thank God you mentioned something. Yeah. Can you please put that a little bit more? I have the Kickstarter crew here, the Kickstarter Squad, Liz and Jeremy. You just exclaimed, thank God, Liz. So I imagine that you have some thoughts about what's going on. Looking at all these Kickstarters going, oh my God, how am I going to afford all this?
Honestly, the prices of games right now are insane. And like, if you're only buying a couple games a year, I wouldn't feel that way. But there's so many new projects that came on Kickstarter this week. And yes, I don't know
this week.
Where is the money coming from for these projects? I'm a school teacher. I have no idea. And, Pax Pamir. I love Pax Pamir. It's $85 list price. They did not, the production values are through the roof, but they did not play. And so that's one of those things where if you think that you want a game, but you're not sure, do you want to gamble $85 on anything?
Yeah.
And, it's so much money. And, if you're one of those people who has to bring in lots of games, and, I'm a reviewer too, right? So I'm always looking for new games. I don't sometimes know how to keep up.
Yeah, but I was just going to say that, like, you just said $85, and then you were like, but yeah, it was like slick, and it has this and that. You spent $85, so that's what I'd say. Like,
I did not.
So what I'm saying is that what Kickstarter people have to deal with is like they're looking at a game that's $40 and saying like, wait, that plus shipping, that kind of thing. So I get what you're saying, because you're also looking at the type of game. Like if it's a roll and write and it's $50, it better be beefy. Like it better be with all expansions added in there. This is a
$70.
You're about to see one next month called Roll and Roll. It is literally a Euro game that's a roll and write, and it's definitely gonna be in that price range. And I think it's gonna be worth it, but it's gonna test people's limits of it's a big box roll and write game. It is literally a big box roll and write game. It's never been done before. Like, this is ridiculous. But speaking of Era, which is a really good example of that, so this is actually, what do you expect of a game? Because this could be that overproduced argument, but at the same time, it was a design choice, and they added 130 minis basically in the game. But you have to say to yourself, it's like, do I actually really care about that? Like, what does it come down to? Gameplay. So even if the gameplay is great, which Era, the gameplay is really fun. I like the game quite a bit. It's difficult to chuck over $70. Sorry, even if the components are awesome, they're really good. It's just that, like, I just don't see it, man. Like, I just don't see it. And I'm not even going to call overproduced. I'm just like, that was a choice, and the people will decide. And I'm not sure the people are going to decide to buy that like crazy. I can see it being bought on sale next year for $40, $50, but that's too high.
It's kind of weird, like, calling something overproduced. And I think of it like, could you have lopped off $10 worth of production value and delivered the same experience? If the answer is, like you could, then yeah. But it used to be so much clearer then than it is now. Like, now there's so much chrome. And that's why a game like Unmatched just like leapt out at me as like, oh my God, a reasonably priced game. Or like Cartographers. Yeah. Cartographers, there's a lot of these rolling rights are just like, or what is On Tour was this kind of expensive thing, and Roman Roll is going to be an expensive thing. Cartographers, $20, give me. I find myself gravitating more and more. Like, I'm like, I guess as a reviewer who is Liz, a school teacher, I'm a social worker, basically. And, I work as a psychotherapist, but like people think I still work at a social worker salary. And it's starting to become like a thing. I'm starting to become like thankful that a game is cheaper. And it's starting to kind of nudge like in a way that it never really did before. Like if a game manages to be cheaper, it's nudging up my opinion of it. And I'm more willing to give it a positive review. And then on the other side, if a game is like kind of over that 65 threshold, or like over 100 if it's like a miniatures game, because some of these minis games, forget it. Like, 130, 140 now. Ugh. Like, it's really starting to influence my reviews. It really is.
Yeah. I don't know if it influences my reviews, but I'm way more likely to take a risk on a cheap game. Because, I'm at a point in my, I guess it's a career at this point, yes, of board games where, I guess you could call it that, where I'm able to ask for a lot of review copies. Right. But I'm still aware of how much they cost, because a lot of the games that I end up getting review copies of are games I thought about backing on Kickstarter, didn't have the money, and I gambled on whether I could get one later. So, when something's $25, I'm way more likely to be like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. I'll try it. And it doesn't hurt as bad as paying $125 and then being, oh God, what have I done? Please let somebody on BGG buy this.
Yeah. I'm just more of like, even though I do get like review copies, and even like sometimes they will send like, let's say the special edition or whatever. I just try to think of like from the backer perspective, did they feel like they got like hoodwinked, by this game or not? Or like even an example of like Everdell, right? Some people, first time they saw Everdell, and I'll be honest with you, when I saw Everdell, was that last year or a year and a half ago? Yeah. I was like, who cares? It's got this big beautiful tree. It's got like a couple like pretty art. I'm not paying for this, like whatever, right?
Right.
Then I started to see more gameplay come out because there wasn't a ton in the beginning. And then I was like, whoa, that's actually what I like. But people were still stuck on, they had a reputation with the company. But the big thing is like, they don't need to have this tree. And I'm thinking like, that's the only thing that's going to hang you up from this game is to have this big, beautiful table presence of a game where everybody buys. And that's the thing. There's certain things we just like and we do, and then there's other things that we just go like, oh, no, you can't have that. Like, we'll buy a whole bunch of barrels as an extra add-on. We'll buy coins as an extra add-on. But if somebody tries to throw it in a box and not call it a collector's edition, and they try to like raise the price a little bit, they'll go like, I don't want that, separate it. So it's like people don't, I guess they don't define the premium. So the publishers are just like, let's just throw it in the box. Let's just trick out the normal box. Mm-hmm. And that's what they do. I think they push the limits of what a base box is. And what that
honestly, I'm glad you mentioned the tree. Like, I'm actually more forgiving now. Like, but when I first saw it, I agree with this. Like, okay, what is this? What is this thing? And you can literally take out the tree in Everdell, and it's nothing.
It's not even.
You can totally take out the tree. But when I set it up at a game event and I had it out, and people like, it really stopped people who didn't ordinarily play or weren't interested. They're like, ooh, what's this?
Yeah.
In a way that like a more detailed mini would never do that.
Right.
You know, so like how much more detail do we need to get in these minis? I understand there's some painters out there, collectors out there, and I don't want to talk about that, but like, y'all are good.
Yeah.
You know, like when the extra cost goes into something that doesn't open the game up to wide varieties of people, when the extra money is in kind of enriching that personal experience of like, you know, more detailed minis or extra scenarios that never like. That's where I'm starting to get really bothered by that, because like at the end of the day, it's still a plastic blob to me. I'm not going to be more likely to paint it. There's some people, I'm not going to take anything away from people who paint, but I just feel like there's a tipping point there. And if you're going to add more production, then make it like Everdell, where it's more table presence, more open, so that people can kind of come in, you know?
Yeah, I got so many unpainted minis in my house. Seriously, like every game looks like it's just stacked by the putties from Power Rangers.
Yeah. but I like, the thing is that I think, that's also a disconnect from who we are, because we also have to realize that like when I had Kingdom Death Monster, it was like every part of the hobby. Like it was the dungeon crawler, it was, you know, all these different types of things, but it was also a minis game. Like it taught me how to put together minis. Like how people clip all this stuff together and customize, and I had to learn that culture, and then also painting. So it opens, you know, certain games open themselves up to the hobby, but for certain people, that's their hobby. Like that's really their hobby more than anything. Some people will just buy the minis for a game. So
and it's cool when there's a couple of them. And I think a couple of years ago, we were at that point of like, you know, a couple of CMON games and Kingdom Death, and it's like, but now you see all the Facebook pictures of people painting their minis. That's great. I want to know what gamer has significant amount of minis games and they've painted all their minis.
Yeah. I mean,
you know,
yeah, it's a hobby. You know, it's just like they don't play all the games they have either. So it's like it's just it's a choice, and it's a choice. But I always tell people like the hardest thing for people to do is evaluate cost, and I think everybody believes they know the cost of everything, and they don't realize that different people have different distributors and different pricing. And they subsidize these things, and people work with different numbers. So sometimes when they see that price, they just assume it's kind of a one-size-fits-all approach, and you could make this cheaper, or you could do this and that. And it could really just be the difference of like $5 and what you get for the you know, as far as cost goes. And then you get so much for that $5. But people see that as like, I bet you if you took those out the box, it'd be like, you know, $15 less. And that's not true.
Right. So the Sadlers, Adam and Brady Sadler had that point exactly, where they talked about, you know, getting a lot of complaints about Brook City, where it's like, oh, you could have taken out half of those minis and you would have like knocked the price down $20. And Brady's like, not really.
Like, and Jamie said the same thing about Tapestry. He was like, I looked at the numbers and he was just like, I think it was almost like a difference of like $10. And he was just like, wait, I can do all that for that price? He was like, well, then I'll just make it this comfortable price point. And he's stuck with the business model that he's always talked about for games, and it worked out for this game too. So it's not $100, you know. So it just like that was the thing. I thought it would just be, oh, that's flat out $100, you know. But like now you can get it earlier for a cheaper price, and that's the way it should be, man. Like we just assume we know these things, and I don't think we know.
But I will say I agree with you, Jeremy. But I will say like the base, the floor seems to be higher. Like, I'm not seeing a $60 game, and that sucks. Like,
that used to feel like the normal price for a game.
Right. That's a normal price for a video game. It's a normal price for a board game. I always $59.99. I'm reliant on that, and it's just not there anymore.
I get you because even now, with these family games, man, the family games are reaching $40-$50. So it's like you're telling me this is a game that my son might play with me twice.
Right.
And I'm sitting here great, and they're like, oh, we have all these rubber tentacles and stuff I don't want none of that, man. Just give me give me some little cubes to move around, and we'll play once or twice and be done with it. And then you're telling me that's going to be $40 plus shipping, so it's really $53. I get it. So yeah, the bottom lines are coming up. That bottom is raising.
So we have no answers. Just all three of us are just feeling the pain.
We just keep answering. We just keep answering. Yeah, it's one of those. It's just a never-ending situation.
So no answers, but it is conversations, and I do think that at least it should be talked about because it feels like, because especially when, and I'll try to end on this, but I feel like there's a little bit more negativity kind of creeping in. People are more quicker to talk crap about a game or something because, and I really do feel like that creeping price point is putting the screws into people. It's like, okay, oh man, this is $10 more and my salary didn't go up. I haven't gotten a raise in 25 years or something, or I'm making minimum wage or whatever it is. So I just feel like the pricing, whatever, if you're a company out there, whatever you can do to reasonably adjust that pricing, don't offer a game at some rock bottom price and not be able to fulfill it. Obviously that's terrible too, but whatever you can do to relieve the pressure. And that's why I appreciate a product like the Unmatched. It really seems like it's trying to get a lot of bang for the buck, and anybody else is out there that's doing that kind of thing, then kudos to you. All right, so that is it for Every Night is Game Night. Liz, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining me. We're gonna do it next week.
Oh
yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, that's going to do it for another episode of Every Night is Game Night. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks so much to Liz and Jeremy. Next week, they'll both be back. I promise there will be more Liz next week. So we have a pile of 9 games that I wanted to cover. I was switching things around last minute, and it turns out that a lot of the Liz's games kind of ended up on the second episode. That's okay. We love you, Liz. You'll be hearing more from her next week. And just more games after next week. We're going to have Anthony back for another set of heavy games, the hot and heavy Euro segment that we do from time to time. And then just lots of other content. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, go ahead and check out the One Player Guild. The top 100 solo games is being voted on as we speak. It is hundreds of games at this point. The One Player Guild is the biggest guild over on BG. So we are repping the solo. Very, very proud to do it. Very, very proud to host that episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you want to interact with the show, go ahead and hit us up on the Twitter, ENGN_podcast. Every Night is Game Night Facebook group, everynightisgamenight.com. We have some Slack. Slack is like a forum. You can come in, join our communities on the One Stop Co-op Shop Slack. I'm very active. Go over to BGA. BGA has a Patreon if you want to actually contribute a little bit of money. Some of that money trickles over to ENGN to keep these going, keep copies coming in, keep production values up, keep the website up, which is very, very important to reach in terms of our outreach to publishers and all that kind of stuff. So and the last thing is a rating. Go ahead and give us a rating, 5 stars, or how many stars you think we deserve over on iTunes, especially iTunes, but the other podcast hosting services as well. We would definitely appreciate it. So until next week, go ahead and grab a solo game off of that shelf and let's make every night a game night.